why is it during the past 1300 years, or say the past 1000 years at least, the Muslim scholars in general, with very few exceptions, did not realize the truth of which the promised Messiah has been blessed to tell the world about?
Which truth?
About the finality of prophethood, about the death of Jesus Christ, about the continuation of revelation, about no abrogation in the Holy Quran.
So let's take them one after the other. The fact is that as far as the question of finality goes, that I explained earlier, perhaps last night or the night before, that according to the Holy Quran, this question is much older than some people think. It always takes roots in the darker ages of religion. And it always takes roots in many forms. So whenever a prophet comes, he has to fight with that idea. And that is the time of revelation, that the other idea is erroneous and this is the correct idea. Like at the time of Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, according to the records kept by the Holy Quran, there were people who believed in him ultimately, who had previously thought that no prophet would ever come. Also people starting from the time of Joseph at least, Hazrat Yusuf. And you know how many generations had passed in between? More than 1000 years. Much more than that. Because between Hazrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Hazrat Moses, there were 1900 years. And Hazrat Yusuf was much earlier. So the question is more powerfully applicable there than here. The descendants of Joseph, who believed that nobody would come after Joseph, could have asked the same question. That now it has been revealed to you. At least after 600 some years of Jesus Christ, if we say that they were corrected, at least there is a gap of about 700 years. And then, right at the time of Hazur Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there are found such people who believed that no prophet would come. So the concept of finality of prophets is not a new concept. The question is not this, that the concept of coming of prophets is new or old. The question is, the concept of finality of prophets is new or old. When you study the history of the finality question, then you understand the whole phenomenon. The fact is that this is a common feature which happens everywhere in the world at every coming of a prophet without fail. That whenever a prophet from Allah comes, people of that time are not ready to accept a foreign yoke. To them, if yoke coming from above which is not seen is a foreign yoke, why should they bow their heads to somebody, some person who is being called as one of them? In the Holy Quran there are repeated mentions. So it is not an idea based only on secular history. It is an idea based on the most reliable religious history kept by the Holy Quran. That whenever a prophet came, the same was the question against him. Out of us ordinary people, a man claims that he has a higher authority from Allah and wants us to be subjugated to him, while as we see things, only the menials from among us are following him. While we, the leaders, we don't care for him. And he thinks he will interfere in our financial systems, the way we behave economically and otherwise. All this is nonsense. So the authority imposed by Allah is always hated. When this is the state of affairs, and this is a universal state of affairs, they are not ready to receive a prophet. Yet they have accepted the previous ones. So a concept of finality automatically has taken root among such a people. But once we start traveling from this point into the future history, then we would begin to understand the whole question philosophically much better. Now they have refused to believe, yet Allah may sees to it that they would ultimately bow down, or they will be destroyed and annihilated. So those who survive and have to believe ultimately, they enter a new phase, which is apparently opposite to the first phase. But in the resultant, it amounts to exactly the same thing. Excessive, unjustified hatred is displaced by excessive, unjustified love. And the same prophet whom they used to say, you are less than a man, begins to become more than a man for them. And they say, in him we believe because he came with such miracles as ordinary human being cannot show. Tales are being woven about him. Hero worship takes root in the society. And the same people who used to hate him with the same mentalities, when that mentality revives, they say we believed in him because he was a super being. He was not an ordinary person. As far as the ordinary person goes, he has no right to rule us, and he has no right to receive any revelation from Allah either. So the concept of the prophet begins to rise higher than the reality. So much so that then things are added to that prophet which never were possessed by such a person. More often than not, he is turned into a semi-god. Sometimes he is shown with wings and supernatural powers in his physical being. Sometimes he is sent to the heaven alive, and it is said that he would come again. It's not the first time that has happened to the Muslim society. It has happened before. Almost in every society it has happened. So many people have been sent to heaven by earlier people and by the different people on earth that there will be more than many dozens. So the same thing happened to the Muslims as has been happening to earlier people and to the people of other parts of the world. The reason is always the same. They don't want to have another prophet, one is enough. Willy-nilly they accepted one, and now they want freedom. Freedom of action. Freedom to walk out of the yoke of religion. Freedom to be corrupt. Freedom to be selfish and disregardful of humanity. These are the basic fundamental reasons which impel them to move away from religion in a way that apparently they remain religious. By glorifying the previous prophet, they think they will gain an access to heaven and the easiest way. And now they are reaching a frame of mind in which the new prophet will never be fitted.